I want to move to this story, though, as well. NHS warning patients of 2-day waits in A&E after 9 UK hospitals declared critical incidents. This is due to the exceptionally high number of flu cases, with the latest data suggesting they've skyrocketed to around about 5,000 a day. It's happened before. We kind of cope with it in a curious way. It comes as a surge in cases of HMPV in China has prompted some alarm and led to fears of a possible new pandemic. Let's speak with Dr Dean Eggitt, GP and CEO of Doncaster Local Medical Committee, who regularly helps us out with these kind of stories. Afternoon to you, Dean. You're not wearing a mask, so I'm assuming you're flu-free yourself, because even medics get flu, didn't you know?
We do indeed. Hi, Ian. Thank you. Over the holiday season, Christmas period, actually, I have had flu. I've had a pretty bad chest infection, but thankfully, no mask on me today.
Good work. What are we making of... I mean, I mentioned this story earlier. Every year there's the big headlines. The flu is coming. Hospitals are overrun. I understand this is worse than last year, but not as bad as the year before. So, I mean, it's not as if we haven't seen this before.
No, I don't suppose this is new. I think there's a number of issues that we've had this year, which has created a bit of a man-made, human-made catastrophe. So in terms of flu vaccines this year, we were asked to give the vaccines later in the year, so we're a bit behind the curve on that. Also, the age range had changed a little bit over the past few years, where we're vaccinating people who are older rather than some younger people. So the number of people that we've vaccinated and the time of the year has added to that, which I suspect has caused part of the problem with the flu. But it is also just a particularly bad year. On top of that, we've got a few other viruses lingering around. We have this particular one that's making an outbreak in China at the moment. We have norovirus, which causes sickness, diarrhea, and the typical respiratory syncytial virus. And who can forget, of course, that COVID is still around. So with a huge number of people who are ill and no more hospital beds.
Had you had a flu jab, by the way?
Actually, this is the first year I didn't have a flu jab. The reason being, for the past couple of years, it made me quite unwell. So I thought I'd take a chance this year of feeling a bit better. And you know what? I ended up getting the flu, so I wish I'd had it.
There it is. See, I've never had a flu jab, and there's no kind of anti-vaccine thing in that. I've just never got round to having one. I think once upon a few years ago, I was meant to have one, then couldn't make it or whatever. And my doctor said to me literally the other day, he said, you know, there's 4 or 5 viruses going around. You might want to reconsider that. But I've always thought, you know, I'm a fit and healthy young buck. Do I really need one?
Well, it's not too late for those people who do still want a flu jab. They're still available at GP practices and pharmacies. And so for those people who can get it on the NHS, I would advise getting it. Like I said, I wish that I'd had mine. It probably would have prevented me being as ill as I was. And if you are a young, fit and well buck who isn't necessarily going to get it in the NHS, you can buy it privately. Will it afford you any protection? Actually, probably it will, because flu is a pretty terrible illness, even when you're quite healthy. It can hospitalise you, and indeed it can kill you. So if you've got the opportunity of taking the vaccine and it's not going to cause you any problems, why wouldn't you?
There it is, Dean. Thank you very much, as ever, Dr Dean Eggitt, GP, and the CEO of the Doncaster Local Medical Committee as well. I do feel quite good when I don't have to take something. Like, you know, I've really got to have a thumping headache before I crack open the Nurofen. I tend to just think, you know, life's better if you don't have to medicate yourself, right? But that's not a, you know, there's no kind of sense that there is sort of underlying potions within. You know, I know people can have bad reactions to certain drugs. Whether you're, you know, you can die from a headache tablet if your, you know, system is constructed in a way that just doesn't bode well with it. There's all sorts of things that can, you know, go the very opposite to what they were meant to do. So it's not really that. I've just avoided the flu thing. And it's been in my house this Christmas. My other half had the whole chest infection quite badly, still has it as well. Next door to us, here as well at Talk, Julia Hartley-Brewer was like a walking bubonic plague machine. And everybody caught it. Jeremy Kyle had it. I think he gave it to Isabel Oakeshott and Richard Tice. So, you know, this stuff does spread. I somehow haven't got it, and neither's Mike Graham or Kevin O'Sullivan. And the answer to all of that is that if you're an alpha male, you don't get ill.